Hey everybody, welcome back to another fun and exciting intermediate math class. Today we will be in Lesson 10, Chapter 1, Lesson 10, and that's called Fraction Arithmetic. Here's what we're going to be doing today, and we're going to break this down into two different lessons, I think. So what we'll be doing is we'll be doing addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division with fractions. Now, you're probably thinking, oh no, I hate fractions. This is, gross. Well, I think most students, they hate fractions when they don't understand them, when they don't know how to work with them. So if you can learn how to work with them, if you can kind of figure this out, it will make fractions so much easier. And let me tell you something, fractions are not going anywhere. They're going to be with you in algebra. They're going to be with you in algebra 2. They're going to be with you in geometry. They're going to be with you in every branch of mathematics that you take from here till you're done taking mathematics. Fractions are everywhere. So, my suggestion, learn it now, work hard, figure it out. That way you won't have problems when you get to algebra class. Because if you're struggling with fractions still, algebra just in itself is hard. So the fractions will make it that much harder. So work hard now, figure this out, do your best. Don't sleep on this video, okay? Work hard on this video and it will pay off. You will enjoy the benefits later. You might not enjoy the benefits right now because it will be hard. You might have to watch this video 2 or 3 times to figure it out. You might have to do some extra practice problems. But if you'll work hard now, it will pay off when you get to algebra class. All right, let's look down here. We are on page number 46 in your book, page 46. So let's look down here at fraction arithmetic. And what we're going to do is kind of just discuss a little bit about it. We're basically going to start working on adding and subtracting in this lesson. And then in the next lesson, we'll do multiplying and dividing. So fraction arithmetic, in order to add or subtract fractions, you must first find the LCD. Now, we haven't talked about the LCD yet. We've talked about the LCM, least common multiple, and maybe you need to go back to that lesson. That was like 2 or 3 lessons ago, and you need to go back and figure out the LCM. The LCD is the exact same thing as the LCM. Here's the only difference. LCD stands for denominator. So if we look at our fraction here, we have 2 fractions. We're adding these 2 fractions. So we have 3/4 and 2/3. Notice that they have different denominators. We cannot add these fractions yet. We have to find the LCD, least common denominator. So here's what you do. You take your 2 denominators, 3 and 4. So we're going to take 4 and 3, and we're going to find the LCD of 4 and 3. Maybe you already know, maybe it already popped into your mind what the LCD is. You already know how to do this. You might get to that point. You might not get to that point. So let's go ahead and let's go through the process. What we do is we prime factor this, and now we take, well, 3 is already prime, so we don't have to factor that one. So then we take all of these things and we multiply them together. So we don't have any common, right? There's no, the 2's not common in either one. There's no 3 in both of them, so we don't have anything common. So we would get 2 times 2 times 3. And 2 times 2 is 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is 12. Our LCD is going to be 12. So we're going to take this and we're going to turn these into 12 fractions. Here's another way to think about this. And this is from last lesson. What we're doing is we're recutting our pizza. Right now our pizza is in 4 pieces, and we are cutting it into 12 pieces instead of 4 pieces. Right now this pizza is in 3 pieces, and we're cutting it into 12 pieces. The idea is to take both of these fractions and to make them match with 12 as their denominator. Why 12? Because 12 is our LCD, least common denominator. All right, so here's the way that you do this. What you do is you come back here and you say, okay, 4 times what gives me 12? Well, 4 times 3 gives me 12. Now, I want these two fractions right here to be equivalent fractions. We dealt with this in the last lesson. How do I make them equivalent fractions? Well, whatever I do to the bottom, I must also do to the top. So if I multiplied the denominator by 3, I need to multiply the numerator by 3. So what is 3 times 3? Well, that's 9. So our new fraction, our new equivalent fraction, is 9 over 12. 9 over 12. I would do that the same thing here, and you'd say 3 times what equals 12? 3 times 4 equals 12. I have to do that to the numerator as well. I have to multiply it by 4. Do you remember why? I told you this in the last lesson, right? Because we're multiplying by 3 over 3, which is 1. Okay, so we're not changing the identity of the fraction. We're multiplying by 1. Times 4, 2 times 4 is going to be 8. So our new fraction is 8 over 12. So we have 9 over 12 plus 8 over 12. So we're going to go ahead now and we're going to add these two fractions. And we're going to get 9 plus 8, and we're going to come up with 17 over 12 as our answer. I think this is the thing that some students kind of don't like about fractions, because a lot of times you'll get done with the question and you're not really done with the question. Like, your answer isn't really the answer. We're not done with this because this is not a proper fraction. We want to always leave our fractions fully reduced and proper. This one is not proper. Notice the 17 is bigger than the 12, right? So we have to fix that. Do you remember how I showed you to fix it in the last lesson? Okay, I told you knock it over and divide. So 12 into 17. 12 goes into 17 one time, subtract, and I get 5. That 5 becomes my numerator over the 12, so it would be 1 and 5/12. That's my answer. So my answer is 1 and 5 over 12. If you put this answer, 17 over 12, I will mark it wrong. It is a wrong answer. You need to reduce your fractions. Be very careful that you reduce all your fractions. Okay, now, how do we subtract? That was adding. How do we subtract? Almost the exact same way. We first need to find the LCD. All right, so how do we find the LCD? We take our two denominators, 4 and 3 again. Well, this one's going to be easy because it's still 4 and 3. We know with 4 and 3, that's what we had before. Our LCD was 12. You don't have to do it again. And now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply again. 4 times what gives me 12? 4 times 3. 3 times 3 gives me 9. 9 over 12. 3 times what? 3 times 4. And 1 times 4 gives me 4. Now that we have our new fractions right here, now I can subtract. 9 minus 4 equals 5 over 12. Maybe you're thinking, do I get 5 over 12 for everyone? Because this was still 5. No, you don't. It just happened to be. They used the same example that the fraction was 5 over 12. But you won't always get the same one. Okay, so the next one, sometimes you're going to have what's called a mixed number. What is a mixed number? We talked about that in yesterday's lesson. A mixed number is when you have a whole number and a fraction next to each other. Nothing really changes here. What we want to do is almost separate these, where we have the whole numbers on one side and we have the fractions on the other side. So just separate them out in your mind. You don't have to draw a line right there, but you even can if you want to. It won't hurt the problem. It'll be fine. So we're going to add these together. So what we have to do is we have to find our LCD before we can go any farther. So we're finding the LCD of 6, 3, and 9. Okay. So what we do is we prime factor these. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 3 is already prime. This one is 3 and 3. So then we would circle our common factors. Look, I have a common 3. 3 is in all of those. So we would use the 3 one time. Then we would take everything that's left over. There's a leftover 2 and there's a leftover 3. My LCD is going to be 3 times 2, which is 6. 6 times 3, which is 18. My LCD is 18. If you're getting lost in that process, you don't need to watch this video again. You need to go back and watch the previous lesson on LCM. I think it was 1.8, 1.7, something like that, is where I taught the LCD. Well, LCM. LCD is least common denominator. LCM is least common multiple, but you find them the exact same way. So let's go ahead and make these new fractions. So here's our new fraction. We're going to have 18 as our denominator on all of these new fractions. Now we would go back and we would say, okay, so what does 6 times what equals 18? Well, 6 times 3 equals 18. I had to do the same thing to the numerator so that we keep it equal. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 over 18 is our first fraction. Then I say 3 times what gives me 18, and this would be 6. 3 times 6 is 18. 2 times 6, we have to multiply the numerator. That's going to give me 12. So there's my new fraction there. And then I would come down here and do the last one. 9 times what gives me 18? 9 times 2. All right, and then I would say 4 times 2, and that would be 8. So there's my new fractions. Again, look, I haven't even touched this side yet, haven't messed with that side yet. We're leaving it alone. We don't have to. We're just dealing with these fractions. So now let's go ahead and add these numerators together. So we're going to have, you can add in any order. I don't know how you add, but I like to find groupings of 10. So like if I add the 8 and the 12 together, that gives me 20. And then I add the 3 to it, that gives me 23 over 18. And then now I have to deal with these guys right over here. So now I want to go ahead and deal with that. You could also, if you want to right now, you could simplify this fraction. I think I'll wait to simplify the fraction. I'll just go ahead and add these together. So 8 plus 5, that's 13 plus 6 is going to be 19. So my answer is 19 and 23 over 18. But I'm not done with this yet. I need to do a little bit more to that. What do I need to do? That's right, I need to reduce it. I need to simplify it. I need to knock it over and divide it. It's an improper fraction. The 23 is on top and the 18 is on the bottom. So I'm going to knock that over, and I'm going to get 23 divided by 18. That's going to go 1 time 18. And then you subtract that out. So 13 minus 8 is going to give me 5 over 18. 1 and 5 over 18. Now, you can't write it like this. You can't say 19 and 1 and 5 over 18. That's not going to look right. So what do I have to do? I have to take this 1 right here. Let me change the color there. This 1 right here, and I have to add it to this 19. So that's going to give me 20. And there's my fraction, 5 over 18. That would be the proper answer. Okay, next one, we're going to do some subtraction. This will be the last one, so hang in there. Almost done. And what we want to do is we want to subtract these two. But remember, we can't subtract these unless we have an LCD. And we do not. We have 6 and 8. So we need to find our LCD. So LCD would be 6 and 8, and we're going to divide that out. We're going to get 2 and 3. We're going to divide that out. We're going to get 2, 4, 2, and 2. I'm going to have a common pair of 2's, so I'll write that 1 time, and then I have everything else that's left over. So I have a 3, I have a 2, and I have a 2. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 times 2 is 12 times 2. Our LCD is going to be 24. Okay? So now I take my LCD, 24, and I make new fractions with my 24. How do I do that? By saying, okay, 6 times what gives me 24? 6 times 4 gives me 24. So 1 times 4 gives me 4. 8 times what gives me 24? 8 times 3 gives me 24. 3 times 3 gives me 9. Now, so these are my new fractions. This is what I'm going to be dealing with. Now notice that I cannot subtract 9 from 4. That's not a thing. So what happens, like right here, I can't subtract 2 from 1. So what would we do in that case? then we always borrow, right? We always borrow this to a 2, so now it's 11, so now I can subtract. Well, in this case, we need to do the same thing because I can't subtract the 4 and the 9. This gets just a little bit tricky, but not too bad. So we're going to subtract, we're going to come all the way over here to the 1, and we are going to borrow 1. We didn't borrow a fraction, we borrowed 1, a whole number. I can't just add 1 to this. I can't say, oh, I borrowed 1, so that's going to be a 5. No, it's not a 5. Look what we borrowed. We borrowed 1, but in fractions, we need an LCD. So what's our LCD? This is 24 over 24. Remember when I told you that it's always, whenever you have 1, it's 3 over 3, it's 10 over 10, it's 11 over 11. It's, in this case, 24 over 24. We have to add 24 to the 4. Okay? And we get 24 plus 4 gives us 28. So our new fraction right here is actually an improper fraction. It's 28 over 24, but we had to make it improper so that we could subtract, because look, we're subtracting, so that we could subtract 9 from it. 28 minus 9 gives us 19 over 24. Then we would come over here and we would need to subtract this. We can't subtract right here, so we would go here and borrow. That's a 2. 10 minus 2 is 8. 2 minus 1 is 18. Our answer on this one would be 18 and 19 over 24. Okay, so that was a lot to take in, I know, but one thing that you can always do on these is you can always rewind them, watch them over, slow them down. The video, you can slow the video down. Do the steps with me. Take your pencil and actually physically do it with me, and that will help you a lot, okay? That's all I got for you for this lesson. Hopefully you'll learn something there today. We'll see you later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.